Hello, Overwatch League fans. Overwatch League 2022 has finally started, and it's awesome, and I've watched every single game so far. I'm having an absolutely amazing time, and I think the most prominent game that sticks in everyone's head so far is Dallas Fuel versus the Houston Outlaws. I think that nobody really expected Dallas to get rolled quite as hard as they did. I think nobody expected Houston to come out looking absolutely incredible on this Doomfist comp, and I wanted to just take a moment before Houston obviously play their next match against Toronto, before Dallas have their next game as well against Washington, to have a look back at this game and to show everyone why this Doomfist comp was so effective against Dallas Fuel. I also want to go over the way that people are using positioning in 5v5 and how teams are trying to accommodate for not having that extra off tank to be able to peel for their backline, because there's some very interesting stuff within this, and it also demonstrates how these monkey comps are attempting to be played by a lot of the various other teams at the moment. So it gives quite a dynamic as to what the meta really is at the moment in the kickoff clash, and this should hopefully help us a little bit down the line as, you know, game weeks continue. So let's pull up the VOD real quick. Here we go. We're just going to take a look at this. So first of all, let's have a look at the compositions. So if we've just moved this forward just a tiny bit to after they've TP'd out, this is basically what you're looking at from both teams. We are seeing Dallas Fuel rolling out with what was essentially standard up until this point, which was Edison and Sparkle playing Genji and Soldier, who are looking really strong at this current point in time. Winston, which was a bit of a surprise to most people at first, but after watching other teams like Gladiators play, etc., we've seen that Winston is actually quite a strong hero at the moment and has quite an all-round kit to be able to do everything. And obviously in support, everyone is running an Ana Lucio backline at the moment because they're the two heroes that really can fend for themselves while putting out a lot of healing and damage output. They are fantastic. Houston, however, go for something a little bit different. So they keep the Soldier, they keep the Ana, and they keep the Lucio. Obviously, Lastro, a flex support traditionally, flexing over onto that Lucio, which is interesting. So there's some really good reason for that, and I do have some theories about that I'll go into later. But their key differences to Dallas's comp is that Pelican rolls out on the Echo, and Dante, Damage Dante, comes out on the Doomfist. Okay, so the first thoughts is, why do they do this? Well, first of all, Dallas are running a Genji. Genji right now can really clean up kills, incredibly aggressive, better than Tracer at this current point in time. Very, very difficult to stop when you get up close and personal. So how are how are Houston choosing to deal with that? They're choosing to play heroes that make it so that Genji is going to struggle to engage. So you can't really engage too well onto Doomfist. Doomfist has a lot of mobility. He can get out. He can get away from you. He can stun you. He can use his sort of like seismic slam to be able to just stop you, slow you for a little bit. There's a lot of anti-Genji tools on that Doomfist. And also, Echo is an excellent tool to deal with Genji as well, because you just stay out of his sight. At this point in time, with Houston, the only people that Sparkle's Genji as well is going to be able to dive, realistically, is probably Iris on the Ana, because very static, not a lot of mobility tools. It's going to be difficult to get towards Merit because Merit's going to be off on mad flanks most likely. Obviously, I've said the rest of the heroes are going to be, they've got a lot of mobility tools to get out of the way, so it automatically already gives Fuel a disadvantage because Sparkle is unable to get as much work done. He can't get stuck in. And Fearless is also going to have a little bit of a problem with this as well, just due to Doomfist being so anti his kit, you know, preventing him from getting into positions. But we're going to see how this works and how this plays out. So when we come into this first fight, obviously everyone's vying for high ground control. That's pretty standard in Overwatch games at this current point in time. You control the high ground, you've got a better chance of winning your fights. And what you can see both of these teams trying to do at the moment is they're trying to look for an opening to dive. Obviously, we all know how traditional dive works, you know. You look for an opening, you try and isolate a target, and you just go, go, go. Obviously, on Dallas's composition side, you're looking at Sparkle and Fearless to go and do this. And on Houston's, it's going to be Pelican Dante, because they still have the ability to do that. The difference is that Dallas's composition works far better up close and can do a hell of a lot of damage, and probably benefits from controlling the space a lot more, and from when a fight goes on a little bit longer. Like Winston has that much more survivability, you know, and Sparkle wants to be in the fight to get that Nano Blade up. Well, just a Dragon Blade if Field is not on the team, just try and do some damage to the backline. Houston's fights are a little bit different. Doomfist isn't as tanky as Winston. He has a lot of mobility on that kit, but it means that he's got to get in and out and make a really quick fight of it. Okay, if it's not quick and the fight goes on longer, Fuel's composition probably wins out here. So These teams are trying to get their soldiers on off angles. They're trying to get some crossfire started. They're trying to force other players out of position. And already on the screen, you can see that in this moment, Fearless and Sparkle have already, they're looking, they're poking, they're prodding, they're trying to find a dive target. They're looking for Iris. Iris has been antied by Fielder. But in them moving out into this position on Oasis, and I cannot believe I'm going to be getting up my my little MS Paint diagram for you. But this is it, right? Okay. Dallas, I'm going to represent with blue. Obviously, we'll do Houston in green. But basically, Fielder is sat in this little column. So if you imagine this is the point, right? Okay, if you're looking at it, with Houston's spawn being like being over here, and you've got Dallas's spawn being over here. What you're essentially looking at is you're looking at Fielder is sat on this sort of like semi-high ground position, vying for it. Okay, there's the little health pack down there. I did try and draw that in for you. Okay, and Sparkle and Fearless have been pushed out to here. Already Edison's on a flank over here, and Chio is playing a little bit more aggressive, and he's also in this position, which is basically left. It's left Fielder really isolated on his own, and this is where Houston essentially come in. Houston see this opening. And they did this all game, by the way. They were absolutely mythical when it came to doing this. And you don't actually see it from the casters observing. But Pelican and Dante just dive. They just go. They take him. And it's already too little too late, okay? Chio, Fearless, they try and come back in, but they can't peel. And Fielder's dead. And what's really important to mention is that the key target for both of these teams is the Ana on the opposition. They're looking to take that Ana out because of the amount of burst healing that they give. The Lucio can't do that much healing, and it is the centerpiece to these compositions. Now, Overwatch 2 is obviously a different game. Overwatch 2 doesn't work the same way that, you can snowball a fight off of one kill. There is a lot more freedom for DPS players to be able to do a lot more work. But what is really important to these compositions still is that main healer. You still have a lower chance of success if you lose it. So getting rid of the Ana is absolutely vital. And you can see that Houston basically clean up the point. It forces Dallas to have to disengage because they don't have the survivability, and they're gone, and they're out. Really big first fight. They took it quick, they took it clean, because the longer they stay in, the more difficult it's going to be for Dante to survive. And this is a really good example of just how difficult it can be for Dante to survive. So look, here we go. You can see again. I think you guys can see my mouse right now, but look, Fielder's trying to set up in this position again where he can see his entire team trying to contest the point and have that space. Chio's now sitting back with him. Edison decides not to go on a flank this time, but is finding different angles, and then Fearless and Sparkle are trying to take this high ground. Dante contests, but Dante struggles a teeny bit, gets really, really low, and Sparkle just goes. Sparkle simply just goes in, and this is the ability that you have on the Genji and these Winston comps right now. They can play really, really fast as well. You've got a lot of survivability to go in there. He gets 2, and this is why Sparkle is so deadly and why Houston have to set up like they do, because this guy can get value off of the smallest little thing. So Dante gets caught. They lose 2. Iris is essentially on his own, and this is basically point Dallas, They don't have their, Houston don't have a tank to be able to create that space for them, even though he can't create as much space as Winston, and already Houston have to back up. So, it's a kind of a tale of two sides, but this is why you'll see as the game progresses, Houston, their comp choice is so good because it does deny Sparkle so much value, and they play it incredibly well. So, here we go. Flanking engaged. So I want to talk about flanking for a hot second, just before I show you this next play. Let's see. Can I get rid of all of my crappy... Yeah, I can. Okay, cool. So, again, you got Dallas's spawn over here, and you've got Houston's spawn over here, right? So what I absolutely love... Oh, wait, you can't see that. Sorry, hold on. There they are. There we go. We're good. Dallas spawn over here, Houston spawn over here. So... what I absolutely love about the way that these soldier comps are played at the moment is, and especially the way that Houston were playing it, is that they're really trying to get merit in these positions to flank, same as Pelican. So you can see that already they're taking this kind of U shape, right? So Pelican's down here, he's about to spring up onto Fielder and Edison. Merit, often in this game, is trying to get himself into this position here. he's really trying to set up these crossfires with the Echo player so that Dallas don't have anywhere to go. They can't hide. They have to move out of cover into different cover. It's like pushing and pulling the team apart, and it's part of the reason why Houston are able to find an opening and they can go so quickly into it, target downfielder, and get him out of the game, right? So obviously you've got Dante basically around here and your two supports are here. It's kind of like a U shape, you know? That's essentially what you're looking to do, that you're really trying to encircle Dallas to try and take this space. Like, the thing with Doomfist is that Doomfist isn't tanky enough to be able to hold the front line, you know? He can't push forward traditionally like a tank would want to. They have to use different tactics to be able to utilize him effectively. And obviously, you know, Dallas are trying to sort of mirror this, but at this current point in time, I believe on the screen, you've basically got Fielder up here along with Edison, and I can't remember what this is and whatnot. But this is the kind of spacing that you're looking to do, and it's something that Houston managed to do all the game. They really do get into these flanking angles, they set up these crossfires, and they make it really difficult for Dallas to be able to stay in one place, and it does pull and pick them apart quite effectively. So this is actually an unsuccessful dive, this one here. But you can see how effective it can be. They're so unlucky, and Chiogo's incredibly aggressive, some excellent peel potential from him. And they do manage to, well, they don't actually manage to protect Fielder, but they manage to get a couple of picks, and now this fight is in full-on anarchy. It was honestly a fantastic game between these two sides. Like, watching Lastro was so interesting, and seeing Chio out here for the first time was just, it was absolutely nuts. Okay, here we go. So Houston are so intelligent in this moment. So they've already killed Fielder. Fielder was the only target that they got in that last game, okay? And because their composition is so quick, they clock on already that Fielder's coming back from spawn. Dallas don't have the resources to be able to peel for him. They don't have the speed to be able to do that. We're just going to go and take him out of the fight immediately. And that's what they do. Pelican and Dante just go in. They just go in immediately and just take out the key component to Dallas's team. It's absolutely nuts. It forces the sound barrier out of Lastro, but they just clean up the fight with it. It's really proactive play from Outlaws. They know exactly who their key target is. Their communication with one another is absolutely pivotal. Like, Dante is able to act immediately on what Pelican wants him to do, and they're just able to clean up this fight and get this point back. It's great. It's honestly fantastic. And at this point, you're still thinking, oh, but yeah, but Dallas have got more point control. Dallas are still in it, and they were. You know, Dallas were playing brilliant for parts of this map anyway. But over time, you see that Houston's composition really does gain a lot more effect. So if I remember correctly for this team fight here, and I'm not going to pull out my poo-poo map for you this time, but if I remember correctly, so they've managed to get into a flanking position again. It's not my personal favorite flanking position, this one, because, well, I'll show you. I'll show you in a second. So here we go. They've called go. And why have they called go? Because Merit is already in the back line. Merit has gone all the way around the back of the Dallas Fuel, and they're trying to take out Fielder, but Fielder is just a little bit too far forward, so they have to settle for Edison. Now, if that's Fielder dead, I think this is another team fight in favor of Houston, and Houston win this one. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite go that way, and I'm pretty sure Pelican wanted to duplicate Fearless there, but actually misses it. But it forces ultimates out of Dallas, and it's those kind of plays that make it so difficult for Dallas to properly be able to counter them. Like, honestly, it was just unlucky that they weren't able to get Fielder, because Merit getting into those positions was fantastic. The only thing I didn't like about it, and I am going to pull up my shitty diagram again because I think it's really important for me to try and show it. Whoa, what did this do? I'll be back when I finish that, when I fix it. Give me a second. Okay, I fixed it. Don't worry about it. So, the only thing I didn't like about this is obviously the fight's actually going on up here. Didn't actually have a diagram for this one, but let's have a look at it anyway. Is that Merit is here. The rest of the team is basically over here. You know, they're doing a dive from this position, and most of Dallas's players are in this position here. I'm not going to draw individual circles, but that's where most of them are grouped up. The only thing I don't like about this is that the value of doing your flanks in that sort of like U to like sort of like C shape is that your team isn't on the other side of the enemy, okay? There is still a reasonable ability for you to be able to regroup or to at least get to the safety of one of your players, you know? You're not adrift. This is a bit of a problem because, as you can see, there is this massive block of blue in the way between the rest of Houston's team and where Merit is currently set up. And that's another part of the reason why this fails, because as you saw, Sparkle was able to pop the blade. He manages to get Merit for free, and Merit can't run back to his team because, you know, his team is on the other side of a load of blue. He's got to run through all these players. So he has to try and flank back round. And Genji's already, as I said, the benefit of him is he's so quick and he wins these 1v1s more effectively than any other character in the game at the moment. So that's one of the only things that I didn't like about that from Houston. But you can see what the ideas are. They get their players into really good positions. You know, they're looking for a target. They're going to try and isolate. And if they can't isolate, and that's the point of this flank from Merit, is that they're going to try and create an opening off the back of their own plays and positioning. It's great. It's really proactive Overwatch at the very least. And while Dallas do have to invest a lot of ultimates and they do turn the fight, you can already see that the thinking coming out of Houston is second to none. It's really good. I'm going to use this diagram one more time, but we won't use it just yet. Let's just watch the rest of this fight play out right now. So they do manage to turn this fight, though, obviously. And it's a good fight. It's a good fight from Dallas. We like it. It was such a good game. I was so impressed with this game. Honestly, putting Dante on the Doomfist as well, the benefit of that is that the guy is already proficient with the character. He knows, like, how to get in, how to get out with a lot of the kit, and he just has to adapt his game just a teeny little bit. Okay, so here we go. Bang. Immediate start. This is what I mean about the way that Houston actually managed to engage. So they already managed to pump a load of damage into Sparkle, which is absolutely nuts. And you can just see the speed of how Houston react onto this. Now, they don't even have any players set up on their flank angles this time. This is just Dante and the rest of the team just going, we go quick. We can go quicker than you. We have the ability. We have the skills. We have the heroes that have the better kits for speed. We can go quicker than you. And they take out Sparkle first. That's already a massive component done. This sleep from Fielder was absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, it was incredible. But the damage is nearly basically already done at this point. Chio does manage to dive and get Iris, but I wanna hone in on something here. So this team fight actually shows the difference in what the Lucios are trying to do on both teams at the moment. And I think it's really important to tackle what the Lucios are doing, because it's effective in showing us what the state of having no off tank means for your other support character. So previously, Lucios would just dive as well. You know, the Lucios can dive as well. They're excellent. They're very fast. You know, they can get in the fight. They can get out the fight. That's what they want to do. But the way that Houston set up Lastro versus the way that Dallas set up Chio is actually a big factor in the rest of the games, and a little bit in this map as well, as to why Houston were a bit more effective. Because Houston, while the screen may be showing you that both Dianas are dead, they do actually manage to keep Iris alive far more within the course of this game than Dallas are able to. Dallas can't keep Fielder alive at all. So here we go. Let's just go back a little bit, okay? So you know that Fielder is set up top here. He's on the high ground. Dante's already just killed Sparkle. He has managed to stop Pelican, but look how much health he's got, okay? He is slowly regenerating his health, but he's still pretty weak. And what Houston decided to do here is that their tank and Chio have gone into the backline. They're looking for Merit. They're looking for Lastro. They're looking for Iris, and they're trying to go. They're all trying to go. The difference with Houston is that Lastro's here. Lastro's already here peeling for Iris, whereas Chio is on the dive with Dallas. That's leaving a massive, massive gap. Okay, I'm going to pull out the bad diagram again. I want the bad diagram again. I love the bad diagram. That leaves an absolutely humongous gap with all of your, with all of Dallas's team all the way over here fighting up here, and you got Fielder on his own. Like I said, you never want to be cut off like that vertically from your team. You don't want to have the enemy team between you and the rest of your team. You want to be able to get back to someone. And at the moment, if he wants to get back, he's got to get through Dante. And that's why Dante basically goes in on his own. If Chio's there, I think that you've got more defense utility to be able to ward him off and keep Fielder alive. Like, you know, you've got the boop to be able to knock him back. You've got the speed boost to be able to reposition Fielder. But they don't have that. Dallas don't have that because Chio's gone in the dive. Dallas basically play a more aggressive style of Overwatch with their Lucio, whereas I think it's more important to use your Lucio as a tool at the moment to help your Ana survive. And that is one of the big things in this game, in my opinion, whereby Dallas really got caught with their pants down. And And at the end of the day, look, you see it in the kill feed now. Dante kills Fielder. Gio does effectively kill Iris, so it's good, but there's more picks on the side of Outlaws at this current point in time, you know? Fearless is an absolutely exceptional Winston, but he's just not able to do anything on his own at this current point in time. He can't, you know, solo the entire team, even with a Nano Primal. And there we go. They do manage to turn the point. They also build a large amount of ultimates with it as well, which is really, really good. Okay. So this is the real reason why I did the diagram. So this is going to show you once again, more effectively, what basically I'm talking about when I say you don't want to set up your flanking angles where you've got a person flanking and the enemy team is in between you and the rest of your team. It's just not safe in 5v5 because you just do not have an off tank that can help you negate that damage and peel for you effectively. This is one of the other reasons why I wanted to show this diagram again. So basically what you're looking at here is you're looking at Dante's basically in this position here. You already have Iris is over here. You got Lastro here. I'm pretty sure Merit's here as well. And they're just pumping damage in this way. You got Pelican in this position again. He's playing around the central tower just so that Sparkle can't get anything. You know, every time Sparkle wants to dive him, every time Sparkle wants to even try and get some shurikens on him, he can just back off around that tower. You know, he's fine. He's got a load of safe options to be able to get himself out, and that's excellent for him. But what happens here is Dallas have now set up for a recontest with all of their players in here. Bar one. And there's a big problem that starts to happen there again. I will show you exactly what. Give us a second. Let's get the video going. Bam, 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 bam. Here's Dante. He's going to get a nano boost as well in a second, I think. And look where Edison has placed himself. Edison has made a massive mistake. Edison has not gone back to his team. Edison has buggered off elsewhere. And whether he's trying to find a flank angle, like he's 85%, he's nearly got his ultimate anyway. He's probably looking for a place to pump in a bit more damage and to just be able to build up the rest of his tac visor, combine it maybe with a nano and just mess up the rest of the team. Once again, and this is in my opinion a fundamental, if people disagree, that's absolutely fine. You do not put yourself this far away from your team with the enemy in between you. You just don't do that. He's literally just put himself in a position whereby to get back to his team, he's got to go through Dante. You know, Dante is a 450 Doomfist tank. You know, Pelican is in this position over here. He is more than ready to capitalize on this. And, you know, obviously Edison's panicking there. There's a nano Doomfist coming at him and he's just maybe positioned himself a little bit too far. But it's why these flanks don't work. So it's not as easy Overwatch 2, in my opinion, as just, oh, the DPS can just flank whenever they want or wherever they want and get the work done regardless. I don't think they can. I think they obviously have a lot more space to do that because there is no off tank on the field, but I think it's really still important to make sure that you're aware of where the rest of your team is and take a safe flank to be able to get back so that you can A, peel, or B, get yourself out of trouble. You know, you still want to keep yourself alive. You want to keep the members of your team alive. You want to give yourself the best chance to win these fights. And as I said, with these Winston comps, I believe that they do better the longer that they have space and the longer that the fight goes on. Because that Doomfist doesn't have as much survivability as Winston. Not at all, okay? Genji, you know, if you can get in their face, you're done. All right? They've got a lot more survivability, in my opinion. So that was the real reason why I used the diagram, and I won't be using it. And it's now gone. The poo-poo diagram is gone. So the rest of this team fight plays out about as well as you'd expect. Look at this. Dante just creates some space. Fearless has to flex over onto the Doomfist himself. And the ultimates are firmly in the side of Houston. You know, they now have high ground control as well. Echo is just like up and about, pumping in so much spam damage. And that's another component that I think is really, really important when we talk about the competition that Houston ran. When they ran this Echo, they're also pumping in so much more pressure that makes up for that lack of HP and that lack of space-making ability that Doomfist has. He doesn't have the sustain to stay in the fight full time, but Pelican with the spam damage, getting himself in good positions, makes it really, really difficult for Dallas to set up. So here we go. Massive, massive anti-nade here. Humongous anti-nade here. And I think it's fair to say that Iris did this all game. You know, I'm not going to be covering too many of the other maps in this little analysis bit, but Iris all game kept hitting these monumental anti-nades. And it's one thing that Ana is absolutely pivotal for in these compositions at the moment, because Ana has a sleep dart, the only hero with a stun in the support that can basically take care of themselves. You saw it when Pelican tried to dive Fielder. They have the absolutely incredible nade for both self-sustain and for offensive capability, and with it, they just go ham. And this is basically it. And this was Houston's hardest bit, in my opinion. Houston didn't have a harder time than this all game. You know, and Houston are just able to pop ults and go, you know. They've gone quick, they've gone clean, they've created openings with excellent ability usage, with excellent positioning. Again, Merit, you don't see it too much in this game, but Merit's positioning, I can almost tell you, is always on these off angles, but not too far away from his team. That's why you never see Merit got first. He never gets got first. He's always there, he's always in a good position to capitalize. Merit decent, apart from obviously the one where he's around the back, which is again point. Okay, give me a minute. We're gonna go and take a look now at I want to take a look at Dorado very quickly. Dorado is going to show us some different capability. I would look at Midtown. I've looked at Midtown already a little bit, but I don't find Midtown as important as I do this one. Okay, so look at the compositions here. Let's talk about Dorado. The composition that Houston are running has not been seen like since this game. And I think that there's a reason for that. I think that it's probably very Dorado specific, but it also plays right into the strengths that the Houston Outlaws are using. So Dallas are obviously using a Widowmaker instead of a Soldier 76. They think, yeah, long sight lines, lots of verticality on this map. Likely an Echo again, potentially, is what they're thinking. They decide, yep, we want to go in, and we're going to rely on some hardcore hit scan. I mean, personally, I don't think that Edison had a particularly good game, but it is what it is for them. It still makes a lot of sense. Now, the way that Houston has set themselves up is they're running a Mercy. Lastro Mercy, by the way, actually pretty good. Piggy is in. Piggy plays the D.Va. So D.Va hasn't been particularly good, in my opinion, in Overwatch 2 yet. They're a little bit too vulnerable, but the way that Piggy plays it makes perfect sense. Pelican flexes into a role that he's good at. He goes into the Pharah, and Merit is playing almost like this Vanguard DPS role on Ashe. Let's talk about why they're using this composition. Once again, Houston anticipate Sparkle is going to be on the Genji. They play heroes that basically don't contest Genji. Genji can't get any value off of the Ashe, because the Ashe is going to be playing very, very far away. You can't get in safely enough to kill Ashe unless you're going to kill yourself. Pharah, you can't get in on Pharah. That's going to be very, very difficult for the Genji. So once again, that's another hero that has been negated. This is really interesting now. So like I said last time, Lastro was playing Lucio in such a way that he was able to peel for Iris. He was able to use his boots and his speed to relocate and just keep him alive a lot more than Dallas were for Fielder. So Lastro is now having to devote support attention to Pelican. And that's where Piggy comes in. So instead of Piggy playing a frontline tank and using all that resources to go aggressive into Dallas, Piggy is basically a peel powerhouse. Piggy's role on this D.Va is to keep Iris alive, and basically Merit is in a very similar position. The way that they're essentially playing, and we'll try and see it when they turn around a little bit on the map, is that they are trying to play it. If you think about it like this, you can see my cursor here. They're trying to play it behind the choke. You know, they're not holding anywhere in this front area. They're not doing a forward hold. They are holding behind the choke, using the spam damage from Pelican. They're using like the hit scan from Merit from range to just keep Dallas pinned back. And anytime Sparkle tries to go onto Iris in this game, like, he doesn't get massive success on it because Piggy just goes back. Piggy's whole point is to just guard Iris. Keep Iris alive. Let Iris do the big plays with the Bionades. Let him pump in the healing. And just let the pressure from Pelican soak it up. The other thing that Piggy does, though, in this game is that every time Fearless tries to get high ground control, much like American football, where you're basically like marking one single player, he's basically marking Fearless. Every time Fearless goes to high ground control, Piggy goes to meet him. You know, Piggy tries to boop him. Piggy tries to just get in his face, you know, or just out of his face, just out of the Winston range, like traditionally in Overwatch. And he just wants to check him. Don't let him get any positioning. try not to let him do that, you know, contest him on that positioning and be ready to go straight back to Iris. And honestly, it is remarkably effective. Anyone watching this game live at this point realized, not good. That being said, Edison hits a good headshot in any of these games, and, you know, you're looking at maybe a different match, but Pelican already kills Sparkle. The effectiveness of the Genji has officially been negated by Houston's comp. It's genius. Well, it's not genius, but it is very, very clever. I think that Jake and Junkbuck have done a remarkable job actually coaching this team, and they've allowed them to play to their strengths as well. They haven't just, you know, taken a team, said, you can play anything, you have to play this. They have instead said, you play this incredibly well, you're going to play this. And boom, what do? Dallas are being pressured so hard, you know, they're not able to dive. They're funneled into these tiny little chasms, right? Once again, we're in a position whereby Pelican is going to go on to Edison, who has, in order to get back to the rest of the team, a load of green between it. There's a green wall, and he can't get through that. And it's just an absolute cleanup from Houston. I love this kind of inventive Overwatch at this early stages of Overwatch 2 as well. It's so clever. It's so far from the norm and what we expected. And even what's, like, good. Like, it's so interesting to watch and to see. And if you're a Houston fan, I'm a massive, massive, like, purveyor of intelligent Overwatch. Wait, hold on. Back one. Here we go. There's Fearless. Look at Fearless. Fearless goes up. Where's Piggy? Piggy doesn't retreat immediately. He's there. He's checking the positioning. He's trying to just cut Dallas's momentum. Negate them from being able to actually push forward a little bit. And he's just stopping them from getting that wide space. Side note. Wide space, and I'll put a link to it actually in this video. Wide space is something. It's one of the fundamentals of Overwatch that DPay talks about. It's something that really drove his philosophy when coaching Gladiators. So if you guys want to take a look at that, go for it. He actually explains it watching an old scrim on Dorado. It's in my opinion, it's also a vital component, and it's something that Houston do very, very well with their U-shaped flanks. They make sure that they hold this wide space very effectively, and they set up all these crossfires, and obviously they're not too far away from their team. They can peel back in. It's just good positioning. Overall, Houston's positioning is excellent. So here we go. Look at the ults that are online for Houston here. They've managed to gain so many ults. There's the Nano Barrage, bam. Fielder already dead, and they don't keep Fielder alive. Fielder just doesn't live. He simply just cannot live. Where's Chio when that happens, actually? Let's take a quick look. Edison's trying to take a flank. You can see Edison over here. And that's fine. That's a good flank angle. No, Chio's with him. Chio's with him. Piggy goes in as well. This is a really good dive component, actually, from D.Va. Piggy goes in with the defense matrix just to try and stop Fielder or Chio from being able to basically negate the Nano Barrage. And in all fairness to Chio, he does actually try and speed Fielder out there, so he actually does play a little bit better in that regard. Unable to do it. Now, this is something that I wish Dallas would have done more. So if you're a Dallas Fuel fan, there is hope. There is sheer hope. This team is still immensely talented, but it felt like they were trying to play too much clean Overwatch. It felt like they were trying to wait for things to happen. They weren't being dynamic enough in terms of making plays happen. And what I loved about what's happened here is, and you can't see it on the screen all too much, but they've got a load of kills in the kill feed. Why? Why has that happened? Well, what they've done is while Houston have decided to make a play and actually defend themselves and go forward, you know, and be proactive about taking out Fielder and Chio and going for the backline, Dallas have essentially gone the other way. And I explained this in my 5v5 workshop scrim when I'm talking about Boston and Florida. But what I would have liked to have seen Dallas do in this game is I would have liked to have seen them take some more of those scrappy fights. I would have liked Dallas to basically say, okay, we're probably going to lose our backline when they dive like this, but that means where are they? You go where the enemy is not. You go into the backline where there is no Piggy, where there is no Pelican, where there is no Lastro. That way you can then go and get Merit and Iris. And this is one of the only times in this game where they actually do it, and they do it effectively. You know, they take the scrappy fights. And the thing with Dallas Fuel is that they've always been a team that is incredibly creative and has a lot of resilience and has a lot of skill. They were always last year able to rough out and just take these really scrappy fights and still clutch them out. And I would have liked to have seen them done this more in this game. It felt like they were playing too much textbook Overwatch, like they were a little bit wary of diving and trying not to die too much. I mean, look, this is the first day for Dallas and Houston. It could just be nerves. from Dallas. I think it's also important to point out the component that this is a homestand for Houston. They had unreal support, and I don't know about you guys watching, but I'm a UK football fan. Home advantage is massive. So, you know, there are some components that maybe you can point to why Dallas didn't do so well here. But at the end of the day, we have to praise Houston on the game plan that they came in with and the way in which they set up to negate the value that Dallas wanted to get off of some of their key components like Sparkle. There's the Nano Blade. And this is one of the big things I wanted to talk about as well. It's not all just like really, really good planning. It's also just absolutely cracked gameplay. I don't think anybody thought that Iris' Ana was going to be this good. I don't think anybody in their right mind thought Iris was going to be able to do these kind of things, but he was just instrumental. His bio nades, that sleep cancelled 2 ultimates out for Dallas. That takes 2 ultimates out of the game. That is humongous. That is massive value from one ability, which is now already recharged off the Houston Outlaws flex support. It is monstrous. Amazing. And look again, what are we looking at here? This is wonderful positioning, and this is a really good angle for me to show you what's happening here. So Dallas right now, all 5 of their players are in this house. They have no wide space at all. They haven't set up anyone flanks. They don't have any high ground control. They're in absolute trouble. What I love about the positioning of Houston is that they don't mind letting this payload move a little bit more. Piggy's able to come in and touch. They are okay with it. That's not their key component. That's not what they want to do. They're happy to sacrifice a couple of meters for the sake of good positioning to win their next fight in the neutral. I mean, they've got 2 ultimates. Yes, they've nearly got a Bob online, but they can win this in the neutral if they wanted to. So look, Iris and Pelican are set up really, really nicely. Pelican's now on legs. That makes sense. Pharah in this zone is a little bit too open. You don't really want to run it here. Legs can obviously like dominate and move around this high ground really, really easily. Lastro is the key component, in my opinion, in these fights, because Mercy obviously benefits when they have a lot of cover to be able to get in and out of. Obviously, Moth Mercy was a huge component in this, you know, development of that strategy. But, you know, you basically want to not be seen. And there's so much escape potential for Lastro. He can go this side. He can come back over towards Merit, you know. He can get into these little cover points behind him. You know, he can get into the huts behind him. He's got so much free reign to be able to get in and out. It's really good positioning for a Mercy. And it's really good at enabling the team to, well, like Merit, just damage boost him, let him pump in some damage, okay, and build up that Bob. It's really good. So here we go. Dallas playing for that high ground potential. Houston obviously figure it out. And they just go. They go and negate it if they can. I mean, Sparkle is still something to worry about. But look, again, the pressure coming on, the Bob coming on. Lastro just goes and reses Pelican because he's got the ability to do so. Edison is in a position where he can't really punish the Mercy for that resurrect. Again, I really, sorry Dallas fans, I'm really not high on Edison from this first game. I didn't see any good stuff from him particularly. It's nice. It's really, really nice from Houston. They've got all the confidence in the world at this point. They've had all the good positioning, and they're just able to clean up really nicely. God, Pelican's legs. Pelican's legs. Absolutely fundamental. Wonderful. Okay. Lovely stuff. Really lovely stuff. So, oh, that sleep dart. That sleep dart is absolutely phenomenal. All right. Let's just get to the back end of this. I also want to show a little bit of Dallas's attack actually here because, sorry, no, Houston's attack even, just to show how they, how Dallas adapted and what they could have probably done better on, you know, it's good stuff. Again, look, Piggy, Peelbot says, no, that's my support. I have high ground control here. I'm an excellent tank on this point. And he is, like, he's a really good tank. He can get high ground control here. He's not playing too aggressive. He's basically playing as a Peelbot. He is not the dynamism on the team. The sleep darts from Iriso. It's, as I say, it's these clutch potential plays as well. He's dead. Edison's dead because of Pelican on the legs. It's just wonderful. Really, really wonderful, wonderful Overwatch. And that's basically that, you know? Sparkle does manage to finally get Iris, but what? It's a res. What a surprise. Okay. You guys know what happens here. I want to show the attack round from Dallas. Sorry, from Houston, and why Houston was so much better. So, here we go. Edison, once again, tries this Widowmaker, doesn't hit a single shot. Don't worry about it. This is part of the problem from this game, in my opinion. I like the idea of the Brigitte. I do. Like, I think that, so if you guys go and watch Boston versus Gladiators from last night, Gladiators did run skewed on Gibraltar, a similar map in terms of its architecture, in terms of verticality, and skewed was playing the Brig, and the Brig was excellent, like really, really good. But against this composition, I don't know if it's the right choice. Like, what do you have diving onto you already that's going to be difficult? What do you actually have diving onto this Brigitte that's going to enable it to get value? I mean, you're probably playing it for the whip shot, you know, to try and give a bit more protection to fielder. Fair enough, that makes perfect sense. But, you know, Merit's a ranged hero. Pelican's not exactly going to be fighting you like close range all that much, you know. Piggy, as we've already established, is very much an appeal kind of mood. He's not going to dive upon you that heavy. So I don't think the Brigitte pick here is as effective as maybe Dallas thought, but I appreciate the attempt. Sparkle knows that Genji's not getting anything. Genji's getting no value, switches over to Echo. Here we go then. Good stuff. So it's pressure again from the Echo, from Sparkle, and this is honestly just the Mercy difference here. So I firmly believe that probably doesn't happen if Chio's on a Mercy instead of the Brigitte. I think that you're better. Like, I don't think this gives you as much value as a Mercy does on this point, especially if you're trying to run an Echo. And, you know, Sparkle takes a little bit of damage from Merit, and then Pelican comes over the top and finishes them off with a damage boost. It's massive. And that's a key component of how you pressure the other team. And look at the amount of flanks that you're getting, you know? Fearless has gone in, another massive Bionade. He can't get any value. You know, Chio has managed to kill Piggy when he's diving. So, I mean, yeah, fair enough. There is ability from that Brigitte, but the rest of the job is done. You know? The rest of the job is essentially done. And I'm not going to... Look, I don't want to spend any more time on this. I think you guys get the point. I don't want to waffle on too much about this. But, they are... You know, Houston just have it down at this point. And I have to say, when I was watching this game, I felt like I was missing Dallas Fuel. Because Dallas have shown us that they're incredibly adaptable. Especially last year, they showed us the absolute king ability to be able to adapt to whatever's being thrown at them and win. And like, you know, as I said, they're able to like really clutch out fights. And in this series, it just didn't feel like they were there. You know, it felt like their game plan was disrupted and they weren't able to do anything. Now look at the amount of ultimates that Dallas put in. Dallas have put in 2 ultimates. You know, Break uses Rally. Merit's already thrown Bob in. Lastros had to use Guardian Angel. Iris used his ultimate as well. This is a really scrappy fight. Loads of ultimates being used. This upsets the balance. But Piggy already goes and gets Edison. RIP. 2 big antis coming out from both of the Anas. And Iris is alive. For a little bit. It was a really, really scrappy fight, this one. I have to say, it was a bit of a clutch play from Pelican to go into the Brigitte, and that worked really, really well in their favor. Don't think it would have worked if he was going into a Mercy, so, I mean, Gio's Brig helped someone. And here we go. Houston, basically all their players are coming back in. Even though Sparkle has an ultimate, he's able to defend a bit. I think Sparkle uses his ultimate a little bit too early, in my opinion. So you see here, he tries to use his ultimate just before he's dying, but he doesn't really use it like when there's a space to dive or there's like a space to contest. And as I've said in some of my earlier VODs about the workshop mode, I thought that Echo would be incredibly strong because of the duplicating a tank kind of thing, but obviously the different nerfs made that so that it wasn't as strong as I maybe thought, so fair play. Pelican just finding a great pick onto Chio there, and that's basically it, you know. Dallas were absolutely unraveled at this point. So that's basically it. That is basically the end. What's the takeaway from all this? Okay, so Doomfist Echo, really, really good at negating Genji. Excellent counter comp. Obviously, you have to play a little bit differently. You have to make sure that you stretch the enemy team and that you engage hard and fast and don't get caught. You take a quick, clean fight. You can clean up. Really, really good counter comp from Houston Outlaws onto those Winston comps, and I think that we'll probably see more Doomfist comps as the rest of this kickoff clash rolls around. Next up, Dorado, Piggy. D.Va probably has a good use now. Piggy, Powerhouse, Peel. Really, really good. If people are going to use D.Va in any way, at the moment, while D.Va isn't, potentially as good at the offense and surviving as she was, I think that you use D.Va as a peel tool, and you let the DPS put pressure on. You play this standoffish comp, you stop the dive, and it's just good. It's excellent. That was a really, really good strategy, well read by the Houston Outlaws. I think it's also safe to say that spacing is really, really important in this game. You've got to make sure that your flanks aren't just effective, but you've got to make sure that they're relatively safe as well. Don't put yourself between your team and the enemy team. Do not give yourself a sea of the enemy bodies between you, because otherwise that's nearly a free pick for the enemy team, in my personal opinion. I mean, look, there are some heroes that can get around that, like Echo can fly out of it. Tracer's got a recall, but Legs isn't so good for that. I don't think Legs is the kind of character that can escape from that, so I hope for the rest of the season teams take safer flanks, personally. Obviously, if you've got to clutch a fight, I'll get around the back of them, yeah, but taking safe flanks when you're starting a team fight, probably a better option, in my personal opinion. And finally, I think that the cracked micro plays, and the good support peel from Houston was one of the things that made them so effective. Like, the Astro's main support was excellent, and I think now, when we look back on the offseason and we were criticizing teams for not having a main support, I'm starting to see the value of having a flex support start to play that main support, because they know where a flex support needs to be. They know where they need to peel for them. And they know exactly what kind of, threats are going to come their way. So Lastro is just incredibly intelligent. His positioning was excellent. His aggression was tailored and measured so that he was there to basically stop Iris from dying so much. And all in all, I think it was an incredible game for Houston. I think they played it to a T. Jake and Junkbuck deserve some massive praise. The talent on that roster is really, really good. And I think that they've got a pretty good season coming ahead for them if they're able to play like that. Dallas fans, don't be gloomy. I'm pretty sure that your team is going to be absolutely fine. You will work it out. I think there's just a lot of confidence that needs to be gained. And I think that they need to just, maybe work on a couple more backup options potentially, really. And hopefully Edison steps into his own. If not, Gurio's on the bench. Put Doha in for Genji, let Sparkle runs with a hit scan maybe. You never know. That's it from me, though. This has been really fun. Thank you very much for watching. If you have stayed with me for this long, I really, really appreciate it. And I will catch you in the next one, because I will be doing more of these 5v5 analytics. If you liked it, or, even if you didn't like it, tell me what you thought below. Tell me what you thought worked for Houston, what you thought didn't work for Dallas. Tell me what you thought I got wrong, and what, you think is right. I am happy to listen to opinions. I just like talking about Overwatch. That's me done. All right, cool. Let's go watch some more games. See you in a bit.